Welcome everybody. We are live here breaking down the upcoming snow event here for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic this weekend. We got the Christmas music going. We got breaking down the storm that's ongoing. And we're going to be talking about the Christmas storm potential after too. Details TBD, but let me get set up here. Come on in. It will be fun. It will be a vibe. And let's track this thing. Let's see what is going on. All right, let me just get set up here. How we doing, everybody? How we doing? Just get the thumbnail uploaded here. Forecast for NYC already. Love it. How we doing, YouTube? How are we doing? X, let me pull up the chat for you guys. No, not working. Again, I'm really disappointed. Man, the X experience has not been great. Trying to read the chat for you guys. Let me get it up. How we doing, everybody? How are we doing? Just getting set up here. Let me go into... Alright, that should work now. There we go. Alright, now I can see X chat for you guys that are on there. Let me pull up on YouTube here. There we go. Alright. Vamos, how we doing, everybody? How we doing? DJ, Celtics Banner, Bobby, welcome. Man, I just want to get my plow in southern New Hampshire. Yep, how about the NAM? Yep, I know. We'll talk about it. Breaking down what's going on here. Again, I'm streaming live here on X and YouTube, whichever platform you perform. I've decided I think I will make a snowfall map. I don't think I will do it on stream, though. I don't think I will do it on stream. I believe I'll do it on after. I'll go on Photoshop. I think I was able to fix it. But just in case something goes wrong, I don't want to be stuck on here and doing that. So like here's also the thing too. Keep asking away of what you guys want for snowfall in terms of your locations. But some of these, especially Mid-Atlantic, it's going to be a little bit tough for me to like have a legit snowfall forecast. And some of your margins might be like I don't know, a coating of snow versus like an inch of snow. Like that matters, it does, but like it's hard for me to really forecast what the like right now the differences. So like the idea right now for like I don't see like Philly being able to get more than a coating to 2 inches right now. That's just how I see it. So for that area, NYC is a little bit different. I think there's a little bit of a higher ceiling there, where like I think New York City has like a quarter inch to to an inch floor, kind of like a little bit more coating to an inch as like a floor, I would say, in New York City. And then but they can get they could get like 1 to 3 as well, so a little bit of a complex, but we'll break down the models. Not at this point, it's less modeling that matters in a more of what's going on in real time, so we can break down that as well. I'll pull up SPC meso analysis here. I was trying to, it was a little bit, I was having some difficulty earlier. I haven't I haven't done as much live analysis as I should over the past couple of years now, but want to. Live analysis can be difficult. You have to make sure you're really breaking it down and not necessarily seeing what you want to see or seeing what you think you're going to see, not want, but so it can be a little challenging. The GFS, I haven't really looked at this yet, so I can't really what happened. We can look at it. Looks like it came back a little bit with the rest, a little bit more amplified. I really think it was more convective feedback issues than anything else, but you can see that's why it looks like such a big jump. And there's your difference right there. I'm getting really close. I'm getting really close to pulling the trigger too on saying that band onshore. If I mean, look at where the 700 millibar. That's closer than 06. Look at that. That's closer than 06 right there on the. If we go to 700 millibar, so this is really intriguing now. That I think those convective feedback issues we were talking about last starting to get resolved a little bit. And you can see on the GFS, this is the worst model for convective feedback issues. But look at that. That's 700. You always look right north of the band. So that heavy snowfall is like right here, right now, over basically on the edge of Cape Cod here. And since it's not a super tight gradient yet, it's probably a pretty expansive a band as well at this point. You can see, look how this is a massive band that gets formed, right? We're getting stretched out here. So this is where, more towards the base of your trough is. But all this energy out of front is getting amplified thanks to the convection that's out here out in front, and also starting to amplify our trough as well at 500. And so the stuff out in front kind of gets ahead of it too early. And if this were farther back southwest, guys, we'd be looking at a big time, 8 to 14, whatever, I don't know, like whatever. It would be a widespread double-digit snowstorm for Philly, Philly to Boston. We'd be talking about, but that's just not what we are. It would be like the NAM, but from 06Z, but a little bit more interesting. That's kind of what we would. That's kind of that scenario. So keep throwing those questions in. We'll go over all of the short term, all the short term snow totals that we're forecasting, because that's where we are, no longer the long term. So I do now have to forecast the snow. Is sometimes it's fun, but it's hard. I want to get it right, and you guys look at me for important answers, so I try to do my best. And so keep throwing those keep throwing those questions in there. In the meantime, hit that like button, baby. Really helps a lot. So if you're new, consider subscribing, guys. We're over 90 subscribers gained since October, so we're doing fantastic. It's been really awesome here on YouTube and X. Keep throwing those. Keep throwing those questions in there. Predictions for Long Island depends on what part of Eastern Long Island is very intriguing, potentially, to keep an eye on. The trend is done. There's no more trending happening, guys. The storm's pretty much here, so models are going to keep doing their little resolve their little things, but we're pretty much here. So the models aren't as important. I'm looking at them and I'm using them as tools to explain the forecast, because the storm's actually not quite here yet. But it's very close. So it's almost getting to the point where models become a little bit less useless, especially the global ones. The P-type map on you guys really shouldn't be looking at P-type maps on global models and thinking that really matters too much. Again, you got to look under the hood and it can give you an idea. And even then, that can get a little. It cannot always be what actually is trying to show. And that's my job, to try to figure out, okay, what does the model show and why is it wrong? Because the model is going to be wrong. The question is, how wrong? So that's my job to try to figure that out for you guys. Or at least that's what I've tried to do, is figure out where's the model going to be wrong. Or what the model might have a right idea, but let's try to figure out, where it is going wrong. So kind of that kind of sense as well. So that's kind of how I look at it with models. It's never this model is what's going to happen. It's what model is maybe closest to my idea. And that doesn't mean the next run it will be like that either. So that's kind of how I operate. But you can see around 700, you get a big old band that forms here. Big old band that forms here. and this makes things really interesting for Cape Cod now. I really I don't know. So I told you guys I'm gonna make that snow map after the stream. I'm not gonna do it on stream. I know I usually do a lot of times, but I want to do a little bit more real time analysis after the stream, just so I can try to get the best snow map in general. Try to get a little bit better idea of what's happening. Um, Bug. No, I gotta get you. I can't see it now, but I can get some of those '06 those '06 model runs. I do look at them still, and I do put a little bit of weight, just a little bit, but really the majority really now goes into the analysis. So a little bit of that and will give me a sense. But I do look at them. I use the models. I'll look at models which are most I think are closest to the snow map, and that gives me an idea. Then I can use that to kind of give me an idea of where I think the snow will be, and then I'll put whatever totals I think will be there. So I'll kind of use a combination of like the snow on the snow maps of the models I think are closest, and that will give me a little bit of an idea of what I think is going to happen. Remember, the beginning of the event might be a little bit of rain for coastal areas here. Don't be discarded by that here in Eastern Mass, even along Jersey here, coast, and maybe Long Island as well. Don't be discarded by that. That is totally in the forecast. So when that happens, I don't want to hear from everybody saying it was supposed to be snow and it's rain. That it's gonna, even if it's a little bit delayed here in southeastern Mass, and that just went too small. It will come. It will come after. You will see snow, so don't worry about that. I think the morning time here again. I think this convection comes through as soon as these dynamics start working through. Right around here is when I think we'll start snowing. Again, that easterly flow off the ocean and these dynamics moving through here at 700, I think we're going to start precipitating here, and that will allow for snow, especially in the interior, right off the coast, to get started right away. So I think whoever doesn't start even as rain and just to the west here in southeastern Mass, I think this is the kind of this this somewhere in here. I think is this kind of, it might be a little bit further east too. That it's kind of in here. I'm looking at potentially. Um, I just happen to be in the zone here. This so that this would be this could be fun potentially for me, but I think there's somewhere in this area it might be centered a little bit more northeast Mass, maybe a specialty here. Middlesex County might be the spot to be. I think that'd be my most favored county in this storm, because you're gonna be a little bit closer and still interior, so maybe some of those elevation always increases snow ratios a little bit, because in the beginning it will be a little bit of a wetter snow, so keep an eye on that. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. And then look here in the Mid-Atlantic. What do I want to use? Well, let me use the RGM. Let me use the RGM here. I want to be careful. We'll look at the NAM. I'll discuss that with you guys as well. I know it's a topic of interest, so better to break it down than not. Appreciate all you guys in the X chat and the YouTube. You hit that like button if you're in the YouTube. If you're in the X, you're most comfortable there, then stay there. If you want to switch to YouTube, feel free, but hit that like button, baby. It helps a ton. You guys don't know how much you guys have helped me hitting that like button, attracting more new people there on YouTube, and really expanding, because I'm really confident in the way I do things and the process that I have. And the weathers are. Did I get it? Yes, I got the bug. Clap it up for that. Quick reflex. But I'm confident in my process for how I do results, because weather's is what it is. But I am confident in the process I try to take and in my intention. So, and I think there's a good space on YouTube. I'm really going to try to expand there this year. So the more you guys can help me out, the better. And simply just hitting that button helps tremendously. You guys have no idea. Brady, let's hope it's an overachiever, if stronger than suggested, or more west. Yeah, we'll keep an eye. We'll keep that tonight. Let's see. DJ says my biggest concern is NYC is the inverter shafting us bulk, where surface temps are above freezing. Is Boston a good spot for this? Maybe. Maybe. Eastern Connecticut looks to be just on the edge. Eastern Connecticut might be a better spot than you think, Kevin. I think in Eastern Connecticut, especially you're where you're in Northeast Connecticut, interesting spot. What are you thinking on Newport, Rhode Island? Um, if the NAM's right, I love Newport, Rhode Island. Uh, so I would love it, but I don't know Newport. It's so, guys. I keep going back and forth. I keep going back and forth on if that band makes it. The RGM is really struggling, I think, with this on this band a little bit. It is so close here on the RGM, but it really struggles to wrap up here on the 10 kilometer. We can look 2.5, I guess. Why not? Yeah, it really just struggles to wrap up that band. And I wonder, is the Canadian maybe struggle? Is it too late with that? Is it too late with that potentially, or is it accurate? So that's kind of where the mark I think lies. Is I'm having trouble figuring out, does that band make it onshore? I think those are garbage thermals right there for northeastern Mass. Even though this model tends to do all right, and I think part of that is just because it doesn't get any of that. I think it's struggling a little bit here, especially 2.5 kilometer model, convective feedback issues, the higher resolutions, and that's why I think the 10 kilometer might be a little bit better for that, in my opinion. And see, it handles that a little bit better. I think it's handling that a little bit better, especially the thermals too. So we can zoom in here. We'll go to northeast, Vamos. And I think it kind of relays that idea again in the beginning as this is this is not a clipper. This is not a clipper. This is not a clipper. I can't look at 500. That's not a clipper. That is not a clipper. I don't care what word. That is not a clipper. That's just not. That's a snowstorm that's going to be either a barely hit or miss offshore. That's exactly what it is. It is not a clipper. I can't overemphasize that enough. So I get that's semantics of terms, but that's not a clipper. I'm sorry. I can't. This is a snowstorm that's either going to be just offshore and slam Nova Scotia, maybe down East Maine, or potentially skim with the band here. You can see how close it is on the thermals. It's just a little too late on the RGM, but to give the perspective here, I think this moves through. These isobars do invert a little bit here, and we throw preset back on. The invert off likely not as maybe as we initially thought, because we have a stronger storm closer actually. So those isobars aren't going to have to invert as, and so it becomes more of a more spread out area of light snow across the area. It's not going to all be perfectly like this. It's not going to be widespread. Uh, it may be. I could be wrong, but it would be a little bit more patchy than that. A little bit more subsidence in between. And I think this area here is where I'm looking at for most significant snow accumulations, and then within that, a kind of a pocket. I think somewhere in here and then here is where I would kind of go. I would go like north central Pennsylvania, southern Phoenix, and then I would go uh, northern New Jersey, eastern PA as another kind of locally enhanced spot potentially with this system. I know the locals don't claim Central Jersey, but you could as a thing, but you could claim kind of here too. So kind of in this area, and then as we pull out here in the Mid Atlantic, pull out the storm. This light banding will come through. You can look here at 700. You can see we have all these mid-level dynamics still to come through, and since our energy still isn't great consolidated, it kind of gets spread out. And we do see this have to come through still, and this is your opportunity, I think, potentially get a nice batch of accumulating snow on the backside here. Friday night, Saturday morning, we'll have a nice patch of light to moderate snow move through, and this will be colder air up in the upper levels too. So you might be another freaking bug. Got another one. We might be like 30s at the surface, potentially low 30s, but in the upper levels, you're going to be cold. We talked about this last night. Look at your 925s here. You're minus. You're at 925 as the snow is still coming through. Look at this. Your mind is. Look at the P-type map. This whatever. 3 hours. It's getting real specific with the banning, but look, there's still snow that's moving through here, and the HRRs and the RGEM will struggle to pick up on this stuff. The real specific scale banning with some of this stuff, it will struggle with that. We'll get, and especially with totals too, a little bit with that. But since we're pretty well saturated at the surface, but we're going to be cold in the upper levels, so this is your time to accumulate. Look at that. You're -4, you're -5 at 925, and I will get for much better snow ratios at this point too. So -4 to -7 out here potentially at 925 millibars in the atmosphere. So surface 925, 850, 700, 500, 250, and top of the atmosphere, right? That's kind of what we look at. We'll go back here. So this area right here, where you're going to be colder, and then you go to, let's see, we go to 850 here. Look how cold we get here, -10, right? Your dendritic growth zone is almost getting to 850 millibar. So our dendritic growth zone is now dropping in the atmosphere. It's sinking, and our snowfall production spot is being closer to the surface, and that's going to allow for better snow ratios on the second half of this event. And then with here in New England still being, more prolonged period, I think somewhere in here this could extend a little bit further southeast too. But look at that, 850 consistently, minus 8, -9, and you're still snowing through this part here, and then more come after too. So again, it's a light snowfall accumulations, but when we're talking about a lighter event, little things like this can really change your margins a little bit more. If you're forecasting a 1/2 inch to an inch and something like this overperforms, now you're talking about 2.5 inches maybe, and that makes a difference. I know there's a lot of people in there to be like, yeah, did 2.5 inches of snow, that makes a big difference. And so that I'm talking about here in that band, it looks like models are starting to say that somewhere in here it's going to come out and pivot, and maybe the snow hole here in Southwest Connecticut can maybe pick up on some early Saturday morning as it rolls through. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's something to keep an eye on here. So I feel like that that kind of breaks that part down in terms. Right, we're covering that Mid-Atlantic, New York City area with this with that talk there, that little segment, courtesy of me. Here we go. How we doing, YouTube chat? How we doing? Let's answer a couple more questions. X, how we doing as well in there? Again, I will be making a snowfall map after, so not in the I won't be doing it in the stream, but stay tuned after. Be on the lookout. I will maybe I'll make a premiere video. It'd be pretty. It'd be morning time probably by the time that premiere come out, but I probably will. So YouTube, hit that like button again if you haven't already. Again, I know it sounds a little annoying maybe, but it really helps me a lot, guys, if you do. So it's very much appreciated. Hit that like, baby. Bobby is New Hampshire in a decent spot. Manchester, close. Southeastern New Hampshire is close. Maybe you'll get that enhancement. Question is, will you get enough lift? Will you have enough dynamics move over your location? So probably some light radar echoes and you might be interior enough to still do all right. So I'd go with I think you'll get at least a coating to 2 inches, but can you get 1 to 3? Oh Jesus, voice crack. Can you get 1 to 3? Can you get a little bit more? Can you get a little bit more than that? That's the question. Can you overperform maybe and get 2, 3, 4 inches of snow out there in New Hampshire? I think there will be somewhere in South New Hampshire that we'll get in localized areas of more lift and just enough enhancement of the ocean to really pick up. I think somewhere there, I'm telling you, I see this. I've seen enough snowstorms now. I live close enough to the area. This little area here, I'm telling you, right here, this Middlesex, Norfolk, right here, very eastern Worcester County. I would know that because I live there. This area here there tends to be an enhancement area right here on snowstorms, this little pocket, and this happens to be exactly where models are converging on too. So that's why I think there's an opportunity to overperform, because oftentimes models, even under what happens with the enhancement off the ocean here, I think that's going to allow for potentially a little bit more than what some people thinking. I see all the snowfall maps, I see it, but I think maybe in here we could be looking at, I think in this area right here, I think there'd be some 3 to 6s just west of Boston, and then that area I would say it'd be like a 2 to 5, 3 to 6, just west of Boston where those best shows are. And in here, I'd go down into Connecticut, Northern Rhode Island, and maybe extend it just to the edge of Southeast Massachusetts. Uh, down in Norfolk, and I'd say this area here, I think I'm looking at potentially for 2 to 5, maybe 3 to 6 inches, and then there's an I don't know if you could get more than that. Take the crazy Western trend, or I don't know, Western trend is the right term anymore, but it would take that band, the crazy high end scenario that the NAM has highlighted, to get more than that. I think there's a sneak. I'm telling you, this area right here. This area right here is a sneaky, and I'd favor like right here. Boom, like this Middlesex, that far east northeast Worcester County, southern Middlesex. I think right there, I would I would favor. So that's kind of how I think this event is going to go. Again, I've forecast, I've a lot of these enhancement events I've seen over the years now, and I'm telling you, even if you miss with the bulk of the precip offshore, which like, was most likely solution, this area right here in the RGEM's highlighting it perfectly. You can see enhancing it. It might be a small swell. I think it could be a little bit more expansive. Some of those totals of the 2 to 3 inch caliber, and then within that, there's some 3, 4s, and 5s potentially. And I'm telling you, it's sneaky, and I care. What the consensus is. Again, we did this with the last system. I'm telling you, I saw it. Again, every system is different, so you don't want to hold on to that. But there's enough here for me to look at. You're gonna have the dynamics. They're there. You're gonna have the dynamics. If I go to upper air 700, look, all these mid-level dynamics need to move through. All these need to move through. And if you're able to amplify this a little bit sooner, and now you amplify these dynamics even more out ahead of the system, it gets real interesting. And look, even the RGEM offshore, but damn, it's close. Look at that. That band is close, and it won't reflect well on the P-type map out here, but it is close, man. It is close on the RGM, and then the NAM went crazy. And the only reason I say that area and not, I think the precip could be just as much in these areas, but again, I think down here you start, and maybe just along the coast, you start as rain. And as again we get through the system, so from start to beginning, we'll get much colder. Again, coldest temps of the season coming in after the system. Some people on some days may struggle to get out of the teens in the interior potentially. So that's going to be real cold this weekend, and so yeah. So like Saturday, Sunday, Monday are going to be cold, and even probably Tuesday. Is that Christmas Eve? Christmas, I forget. But again, we have that high pressure upper place in that CAD, and then that leads us to the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day event potentially with that. So we'll talk more about that. And the long range pattern has become a little bit more interesting, even in the medium range. the medium to long are interesting as well. So we're going to talk about that. John Bush says this is screaming overperformer. Well, here's the thing. When you have such a strong upper level system and you have such strong mid-level dynamics to work with, it really makes things interesting. It can really make things interesting here. It's a strong upper level low. It's getting sheared out because we're not going to see a clean phase happen here. If we were seeing a full clean phase, and even when it does max out, again, it never falls even as it passes us. So it's a strong system. That's why it's not a clipper. So it's not a clipper. This is something that we're like 2 frames off from being an all out snowstorm for southern New England, New York City, and Philly. Like that's how close we're going to be with this system. We kind of just ran out of time to keep doing the Western trend, to be honest. Let's see. Springfield, Mass. I think you do get some snow, especially in the beginning here, as it moves through, and then maybe again on the back end. But I think you miss out on the best dynamic. So I would say maybe ½ inch to 1.5 inches, maybe somewhere around that range. I think you get above a coating, but not enough, to make too much of an excitement. But again, this moves through here, so you'll count Saturday morning as that moves through a little bit, likely at least something. And the question is, how much can you cash in here tomorrow late morning into the afternoon? Can you get in on some of those snowfall totals? So I'd say like you'll get flakes at a minimum in Springfield, but not super confident. You can see like the favored area again is the RGM. I like how it highlights it, kind of points it out. This area here, that's the favorite spot in my opinion. That can extend up into Essex too. That can extend up into Essex as well, I would say. It's pretty much, I think Middlesex County would be my most favored county for them. You go from up here in Essex down here just west of Boston into eastern Worcester County, and that would be my favorite. Northern Rhode Island, North Connecticut, that kind of be my favorite spot to be for the most snowfall potentially. And the only caveat here is if you get a NAM and that band comes on shore. That is with this system, and potentially eastern Maine as well. Down East Maine here. That's maybe the only. Again, that's the system, is how badly our model is doing with convective feedback issues. This is a big, I'm telling you, got to zoom out again. I know you guys like it closer, but for me, it's a big screen. I got to break it down for you. Right here, this area right here. So I look like this is throwing a wrench in all these models forecast right now. It's throwing a wrench. How much is this actually going to amplify come storm time? We won't know until tomorrow morning when it's happening. Basically, we won't know. That's just the reality. So this is kind of a tricky thing to look at. And also, this guy at the last second always loves to play how this injects. You can see here on the tail end, because this guy plays a factor in how strong the ridge is, where this comes in on. So there's a multitude of different last second factors here that models will struggle with, and I told you guys all the way up until models would struggle with these factors, and they have. We've seen it. The wish-washy back and forth, an overall trend over the past few days to come back closer to the coast, but still. This model's really struggling to figure out how much to pull into the system. and models we won't have a clear idea until we get to tomorrow morning, as the system is happening, kind of. But I'm doing my best to try to highlight the areas I think that are most favored. It could be I could be wrong a little bit, but that's kind of what I think with this system right now. I think there's an opportunity for instruments here, so I get I always get sometimes flack for trying to be different, but I'm not trying to be different to be different. I'm trying to be different to make the forecast, trying to make the forecast to the best of my ability, and that's really it. That's all I'm trying to do. So I slide here to. We can go to look at RGM QPF first. Precipitation total, and that's what's interesting, right? I mean, look at this, and even on the RGEM, it's a ½ inch of precip here. That's like 0.4 of QPF, and then some of this is rain in the beginning, and so really now it's this area of where you snow completely the whole time in best ratios, and this area is kind of that divider right there, right next to where the coastal front will be, and that's why, and that's why, and that's why it looks like that. Again, these are my thoughts. If you disagree with them, right, you don't have to be here right now. That's the reality. If you're deciding to come in and enjoy the content, then that's awesome. If not, it's up to you. You can either disagree or agree with my thoughts, or just enjoy them, whatever, or not enjoy them. It's completely up to you. I talk about this all the time. Models are going to be wrong. The question is how much. The question is how much. No model has ever perfectly 100% nailed an event. And this is how, and I think this kind of relays this pretty well. You can see that bulk precip is just offshore, and if that band does make it onto shore, it really is gonna. It's a close call for some of these areas here. Eastern Long Island, southeastern New England. It could be it could be a really close call for some of these areas here. Could be a really close call. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. I appreciate you, Bubba News. Appreciate it. It's all right. Yeah. So yeah. Most people like the general idea of what I do, but some people disagree. I've had people disagree with my thoughts the whole storm, yet still come into the stream every time. So it's interesting. So I just you coming in helps me actually. So if people that do come in to troll or whatever, like, you're helping me actually. You're taking the time out of your day to think I'm important. So thank you for thinking I'm that important. It means a lot. On X too, on X and YouTube. Ike says best streams. Ike, you're the man. You're the best. John says feels like someone's gonna cash in good somewhere. A little bit. Depends on definition of cash in, but yeah. I think there's an opportunity. Different turns into right a lot, says John. John, I try to do my best, man. I try to do my best. I got last two. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's bullish." I don't. I hope you're right. That's what I get. That's what I get. The people that are nice but disagree are always, "I hope you're right." So I'm like, "Oh, me too." I've overed it before though, so I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect on here. What's the absolute best case scenario? Says Jaybird. You're looking at it right now. Kevin says, just need to push this storm like 20 miles west. I agree. So close. North or Mass West should do okay, especially with temps dropping. Says Matt Senior. Yeah, that's really kind of the analysis I go on here, especially towards the second half of the system. Again, if you're in the YouTube, hit that like button, baby. It's extremely helpful to me. If you're looking at any way you can just support me, that's how you can do it. Hit that like button, helps a ton. But I agree, especially on the second half. The thing is, if that northeast flow and there's still some lift left in the atmosphere, the more that there is, the better. The more that there is, the better. That has to come through on Saturday. You can still see there's still, look at 850 here. Look at 850 if I zoom in here on the NAM. If I go to, I'm sure it's on the RGM too. We can look at there. Upper air heights 850, and look at this here. There's still some that needs to work through here. So this is below 700 millibars, and your dendritic growth zone at this point is going to be well sink in the atmosphere. It's almost going to be like lake effect level in terms of, those lake effect soundings we pull. Yeah, coming out is already out. We can look at the Euro as well. But this comes through and you're cold. There's still low level energy moving through here, even though the main show is likely over at this point. On Saturday evening, you still have likely some ocean enhanced snowfall that needs to come through. And when I look at this, I'm like, then there's something you still have that coming off the ocean here, and then you have dynamics that need to move through. I think there's still an opportunity. You're colder. It's not going to take to get some more snowfall totals, and we would be really looking at all of eastern Mass, especially now eastern New England, for this area potentially get to some more snowfall accumulation. So even though the model doesn't really show much, this wouldn't be an RGM specialty here. See it kind of shows it off the ocean a little bit. You can see that it does kind of show it off the ocean, but in close, but it doesn't show any on land. I think there's something here on Saturday PM, Saturday evening. It might be tougher in locations here inland in the northeast and northern mid Atlantic here at this point, but here in eastern New England potentially here in New England, I think there's still an opportunity as more energy still needs to come out, not come out, it still needs to move out of and get out, and it's going to take a little bit while because the system really slows down and gets kind of caught. Again, it's kind of gets stuck. Remember, it's not a super fast move. You have your high pressure out here in the western U.S. and you have your high pressure out here in the out here in the Atlantic to the east of us. And so that's traps the system. The only thing is stopping it to the north, so that's why we don't slow this down enough to get an all-out snowstorm. So that's those are the keys we were talking about for a few days there, and obviously we're not doing that now at the point. But that doesn't mean the consolation prize still isn't isn't good here. And so it's kind of interesting to see. But if you rely on models to be 100% accurate and think they're supposed to be even 24 hours, you could not be more wrong. Especially like within the day, like within 18, like the band. I talk about this all the time. The band that hit me on the blizzard of 2022 that dropped 8 to 10 inches extra of snow was not even modeled. It was not even modeled. I could pull up to show you guys. This band was not even modeled, and it was the only reason that people in like Worcester County, Middlesex, northeastern Connecticut like made out well because of it. And that's the only. And so I really challenge people like to not think the models are the end all be all. That's not what the models are meant for. But you have to figure out how to use them. This band right here. This band was not modeled. This was not modeled whatsoever right here. You can see this 1 to 2 inches per hour for about 5 straight hours. Might have been more than that. Was not modeled. So again, I'm not saying that's happening right now, but I'm just illustrating the point. Like I like the points to to illustrate where I'm coming from, my thought process, that this is not happening. The blizzard of 2022 is not happening. But the thought process to show you guys is that models are not perfect. Models are not perfect, even like going into the storm. Even as that band was happening, it was like a light snow, is what it was showing up as. It was showing up as a light snow, a very light snow, and the HRR never got it, the highest resolution model. So that's my point, is the forecast should not be what the models show. The forecast should be based off what the models show. The models are tools, and you have to make that forecast. And if you judge me on that, then you're just screaming at air. There's no point to be be frustrated with me with what I'm doing, or other people too. Other people get crap all the time for forecasting it. Like I know Billy, for example, gets so much crap for deviating different from the models, and there are other really good Mets on X and YouTube here get crap for it too. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let me answer some questions. Matt Senior says, screaming overperformer. There's a chance. Again, for me, when I always hear overperformer, it's like, if I was forecasting, I'm never gonna look at it as an overperformer. I'll never look. I was like, well, this is my forecast. If I was wrong, then I'm like, it overperformed. I'll Jayberg, I'll use the NAM as a demonstration for what I'm talking about. What's the best case scenario? And we'll show the euro after that. Mark Hoffman says, always a surprise or two. Yes, there does tend to be a surprise or two. I'm not super confident in the Mid-Atlantic part being that. New Jersey and Pennsylvania, you'll never convince me that they're Mid-Atlantic. I'm sorry, you can't do that for me. I'm stubborn in my ways. I always call it Northeast. I can get away with you calling Jersey, here by Delmarva almost. I can get away with maybe south of Philly, you calling the Mid-Atlantic, but I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn in my ways. Again, if you're here on YouTube, you're new here, you don't know what's going on. I break down the big storms. We got a storm coming tomorrow that I'm tracking, and it's going to produce snow in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, and also northwest flow along the Smoky Mountains and the Appalachians here. So there will be some snow for western Virginia, North Carolina, and eastern Tennessee, and so we're breaking down all that's happening here, and we break down all the structure, and I think there's going to be a lot to track this winter. So you gotta keep coming back here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a vibe. The setup will continue to improve too throughout the year, and hit that. The best way you can support me again is hitting that like button. Is always so much appreciated on YouTube and NX. Just keep doing your thing, enjoying your time. Whatever questions you got, answer them. Again, you can see it on the ticker. I love the questions. I encourage you all to interact with me. That's I really encourage it. So whatever questions you got, I love breaking this stuff down. So keep staying in here, hitting that like button, and we're gonna enjoy breaking this down. There is accumulating snowfall coming for this region here, so stay. I will be making a snow. If you're on YouTube, follow me on X, because I do make a snow map. I will be making one for this system, even though it's a lighter totals likely. I don't want to get caught in the overperforming scenario, but I'll be making a snow map, and I might be doing a premiere for that on YouTube for you guys to see as well. So stay tuned with that. Let's see what's going on here with the NAM, with the North American model. If you did not know, that's what it's called. Really, the biggest thing I saw was convective feedback. That was the biggest thing. We really didn't change our system. We didn't change our system that much. Convective feedback, and this piece back here. And since it's so late to the party, that piece, it plays a factor in the interaction with that trough and how it can amplify. Look at that. That piece is getting sampled right now. It's coming ashore 060. So someone said, like, how can models not be accurate this close to the storm? Look, this piece that's going into the storm here is is still offshore. Look at this in the western. This right here. This isn't even on shore yet. This was OZ. This guy is gonna come screaming around this ridge here, super fast, and it will lightly amplify the ridge. See how it gets caught into the base of the trough here? So that's why models keep changing as well right now. It's pretty easy. It's not rocket science to see that. And look at that. Then another piece that comes in, and this affects the it's like it's a chain reaction. And then you also still have this piece out here, out ahead. Models are trying to spot this is the initial low pressure that starts, but really this is your main system. Strong upper level energy, and eventually it's going to be a battle of power here, a little bit of a double barrel potentially briefly. And the question is, how soon can this load over? The sooner this takes over while pulling this into the system further, the better odds you get a NAM scenario to happen. And the NAM is like if convective feedback issues were the best case scenario resolved of convective feedback issues is right here on the NAM, and it amps the system beautifully. It tends to over amplify, and so with the system, it kind of comes through. And then look at the 700 FGen band that gets going here. It's amazing. It gets out ahead, but you can see it gets pulled in and connected. So it's just this long area. That's why originally we talked about it. I was so intrigued with this system because it could have been a long duration that would have sat for hours. So like days ago, I was intrigued with that. Big Boy asks, I'm heading towards Oakland, Maryland tomorrow for work, where the Allegheny front is. Will I be dealing with snowy conditions? What's your elevation? Yeah, out there in Western Maryland. Are we talking? Sorry, I'm not familiar with them. Are we talking here or here? So that Western Maryland, yeah, is definitely. You can look here on the P-type map to show you. There will be snow moving through tomorrow morning here, Western Maryland. So there will be snow moving through. Some snow. Probably not not extremely heavy snow, but there will be, yeah, Western Maryland. There will be some light to moderate snow moving through throughout the course of the day tomorrow. So maybe just be aware other people are driving, but yeah, there's definitely 2,000 elevated Western Maryland. There'll be some snow moving through tomorrow. Moderate snow likely no extreme whiteout conditions for you to worry about, but there will be some light to moderate, maybe some pretty heavier bands. But other than that, you shouldn't be shouldn't there's no it's not going to be incredibly bad, but there will be some snow. Here's the NAM we were talking about. Here was the NAM we were talking about, and it is the higher end scenario. It is the higher end scenario, but it's worth looking at, I think, just to demonstrate what's going on. And again, it amplifies this beautifully. And if I zoom in here, you'll notice. So along here, you can see this get amplified out ahead of this system. It gets amplified out ahead of this system, and that's exactly where the 700 energy then starts to want to consolidate. And then it's an extension here. This goes down, and it waits for the upper level energy behind the base of your trough here to catch up. And typically we'd be looking at an upper level low, be trying to form, somewhere. This would be stronger energy out here. This be getting out in front more, and we'd see an upper level low be trying to consolidate here. The surface low tucked right off that. But that's not the case. It will eventually try to pull back, but the surface low really gets going. And the the thing that's made me look at the system and be like, the only reason I think the NAM could be right is because the only reason, I don't know about that, but maybe model. No, I'm kidding. The NAM is not a consistent model. Is the convection out ahead? Are models trying to amplify this too much, shearing out too much convection, and not amplifying the main show enough? And that is the only, and I think the NAM is highlighting that scenario. That is the only reason that I'm not 100% dismissing the NAM, is because regardless, that band is going to be pretty close. We've seen it. The RGEM had it basically on top of Nantucket. And so the only reason that I'm not dismissing the NAM is that our models. We showed you guys last night. Is right here. Are they amplifying this convection here at the surface too much? Too much. Pulling and stretching your storm too much and not allowing elevation of energy towards the base of the system. But again, you got to remember, up here our height lines are tilting very positive, even though our trough we do tilt negative. So we start wrapping in and we start consolidating. We start wrapping in. We start consolidating energy. Now, if models, if there was gonna be a devastating model performance in all the wrong ways, the right ways for us, but the wrong ways for the models, it would be because this is kind of a little bit of a unique scenario where a full clean phase is not going to happen, but our model's messing up by over amplifying this area too much and pulling us out too far east. And it's not gonna go see where we see a full phase with that. It's not the setup does not support that. But how much can get pulled in here? How much can get pulled in here so that we see potentially that does that band it does it? That's the only way you can do it. I just want to mention this so that if it happens, I can make sure that we talked about it. We did not miss it. Talked about it. This is the extreme high end scenario. And we talked about why there's still some uncertainty, even as close as we are to this system. There's extreme uncertainty with this. Now, the floor we've set, we've talked about these two areas. Goes northeast here. We've talked about these two areas. Look at for snow now. All right, this is those consistent, and now this will go across here. All right, these kind of two areas here, what we've been looking at for snow with, and then the favored area in here, obviously. But that's what we've been talking about. But the thing that could throw a wrench in this forecast, you can look at the P-type model. It's fine. It's not my forecast, so I'm not really too concerned about it. The NAM gets that band thumping across southeastern Massachusetts, thumping, and it would make for one of the more extreme scenarios of it would completely throw a wrench in the forecast. And areas here that I'm forecasting, I would say this area here, I'm more like coding to 1 to 3 inches is what I'm feeling right now. It would completely throw a wrench in that, and it would be a lot too. It would be maybe more than double in some places because of this band if it were to come on. Now, I might be spending too much time talking about this, but I need to make sure that we covered it in case it does happen. In case it does happen, as crazy as the NAM is, it's not just for me. I'm not looking at this and just, oh, it's the NAM and it's impossible. I'm looking at it NAM and it's highlighting the scenario where models completely messed up. And then the NAM would get that stamp of approval for storms and be such a mistake. It would be such a mistake. Right, but as Bernie says all the time, East Coast cyclogenesis, that's where the NAM does excel. This is one of those scenarios that it does it will get always recognized as one of the big boys in the mesoscale models, but we do know it's not true anymore. It's gotten too crazy. They don't update enough him. I mean, man, there's going to be a band that consolidates, and the closer it does to the main energy back here, the main upper level energy, the stronger this gets too. And so here it just it's too ugh. It's always going to be west, and oftentimes these can often go even farther northwest than thought. So this NAM really kind of slams this area right here. Slams south of Boston, and that's why you see what you see. You can look at the snow. It doesn't matter. You can look at the snowfall total map here on the NAM. Boom, boom. It's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. It won't be 10-1 in the beginning too, so 10-1 maps are always useless regardless. And look at that, hammers Nova Scotia and far east Maine too. Hammers. But you can see it would be, it's not wrong with some of these totals in this scenario. It's not wrong. But again, it also is highlighting the NAM. These areas here that get localized from this as this departs. And this area still gets in on the action. And then that's kind of your snow hole. But even then, the whole system is a little bit more amplified, so there's more juice to give around, more for everybody. So the NAM is your kind of your uncle who says a lot of crazy stuff, gives you a lot of crazy life advice that's not usually right, but every once in a while you're like, man, that worked, and that's what you're hoping for right here. That's what you're hoping for. And I'm not gonna specifically forecast this, but I gotta highlight it as a scenario that could happen. And then the NAM 2, before the main show gets here, it kind of highlights out ahead which area we're talking about. Snow moves in ahead for the main show. Right, that snow moves in out ahead show, and you can see it on the 3K too. Where you at, 3K? Come here, boy. There we go. And then NAM 3K shows that same thing. 700K, 700 millibars. Always messy. Look at that. Now you can't read it on the 3K. It's too high of a resolution to make out. But the general idea is you can kind of still highlight it. And you can see it shows up too. You can look at the P. It's fine. I can entertain the crowd. Most of you guys want me to show it anyways. Motion effect that comes in after. But one thing the NAM 3K does, look on Friday, that area by Northeast Mast, the enhancement, and that's what I'm intrigued about right here. And so this area here, and that's that spot. I'm telling you, it's an area to watch. It's an area to watch for more than just 1 to 3 inches. The general idea for this area is this whole area here, I would say, is like 1 to 3. This whole area here, I would say it would be like 1 to 3-ish. Maybe coding to 2, 1 to 3. And then within it's going to be a little swath and pockets of 3, 4, 5s, and 6. So I think I might go out and throw a little pocket of a 3 to 6 on that snow map. Just because I want to make my forecast. I want to make my forecast. I don't want to fit. If you're making a map to make a map and kind of fit in with the rest of the maps, that's where you go wrong always. I don't want to do that. I want to make my map based off my thoughts, and that's how I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be with the consensus. If the consensus happens to be close to my map, then so be it. Matthew Senior, follow on YouTube. Appreciate it. Matthew Senior, very much appreciated. Yeah, John, like the stream up always on YouTube here. Keep hitting that like button. Super helpful. Oh, Euro. Yeah, we can look at the Euro. The SREFs too came back. That's how I kind of figured the OZs were gonna the 03Z SREFs all came back juiced. And the NBM too, National Weather Service Boston is going with that idea as well. This is their snowfall map. Some ocean effect in there too. It looks like they got ocean effect. They think the ocean, or they think that band comes close, I guess, with the ocean effect. So you can see they highlight that pocket that I'm talking about. And then maybe that band gets on shore, and then ocean effect too. National, this is the blend of models, and they'll go off this almost exclusively. That's their, I guess, their official one. But they pretty much go off the NBN most of the time. Let me look at the euro. And again, regardless, guys, we got to give the AI and the GraphCast their credit. Euro AI and GraphCast were absolutely fantastic. They did a phenomenal job. They did a phenomenal job forecasting this event. It's not all that different, right? It makes a difference on the surface, but you can see the general idea is still. So this is what I mean about convective feedback issues, because most of the time you look at this and be like, just that much. This piece is a little bit closer. It's a late trend that will help. That will help amplify things a little bit sooner if models are playing behind on this piece. Look at 700. Euro's got that band. Close too. So close. It's really not that different from 18Z, to be honest. It may show at the P-type map. It's really not that different. In fact, you could argue it has more convective feed. Struggles to pull it in. Here's the snow map. Do I zoom in? It's your snow map. Don't affect me too much, but there's its thoughts, and then look at that, the Christmas one comes through after. Look at that, Finger Lakes finally getting some action. All I had to do was leave there. I'm at State College in Central PA. Thoughts on possible 1 to 3? Yeah, it's not a bad bet. It's a general idea. Somewhere just below an inch is a floor, kind of, and potentially more than that. If you're lucky, you can get maybe you can get, or if you're lucky. Definitely possible. There could be some for sure, especially out here in PA. There could be some 4s and 5s and 6s out here in PA. There'll be some isolated 3 to 6 totals with that region, maybe some small swaths even, but the general idea is probably more of a 1 to 3 for that area. And the Euro does like this area too, so kind of a widespread 1 to 3 for really all of this area here. Euro says 1 to 3 for everybody. Oprah, you get a 1 to 3. You get a 1 to 3. Shouldn't we be at the now? We are at the now casting stage, but they wanted to see the Euro, so I show the Euro, and I like looking. I'm gonna look at all the models still until I think you can pick up on little things, especially soundings too on the models. I love using those. See if we can try to do some real-time analysis. It's always, I need a lot of time and focus, so it's hard to do always, but we can give it a shot. What model do we want to compare to? The NAM. So that was 12 a.m. I mean, your easterly ridge was a little bit stronger in the past run. If we are looking at small things, stronger easterly ridges, the more it prevents energy from getting out ahead. Traps it a little bit better, more efficiently, I should say. What's the absolute max western longitude for a 700 frontage epic, 1 to 3 inch for a short time? UNC? No. Texas? Florida? I mean, there's no limit. 93. Go look up the 1993 Superstorm. March. You'll be surprised for anybody that doesn't know about that one yet. Western Florida, the Panhandle, Alabama, Mississippi, they all got slammed. I think 2020 or 2021, there was a good like 4 to 8 inch snowstorm through here as well, and there was a good solid band that set up heavy snow. It was 2020 or 2021, and then obviously we had the 2021 Arctic outbreak as well. It's not the storms talking about. Answering Mike's question on X. At the Penn State game, I don't. I do follow college football, but I don't know the time and all the location and stuff for the Penn State game. I don't know if there'll be I don't know if there'll be snow falling during the Penn State game. Maybe some flurries. They play on Saturday, right? Dude, the vibes in here are great. Can't wait to track a Noista with you. Hopefully soon. Yep, me too, Bobby. Me too. I'm telling you guys, when it's gonna get packed. It's gonna get packed in here, and it's gonna be awesome. When we get a real slam dunk, it's gonna be fun. I'm telling you. My non-complete weather forecasting side says there's gonna be one big one for Northeast and Mid Atlantic this year, and there'll be another big one in New England. So New England gets two. Sorry, Mid Atlantic. That's a completely non-weather forecast, but that's what came to me in a dream. So it's gonna happen. Don't you worry. We'll have opportunities. I'm telling you. I think in January we got a good shot for something. I think I'm getting more and more confident that there will be something good in January. We may have to eat some crap at the end of December and that first week of January, maybe a little bit. But I'm telling you, January. I've said it now for maybe like 2 weeks, maybe a little less than that. That January I think is going to be better, and we got to eat a little crow first. But January, if we be patient, I think will be better. I think true winter starts that second week of January. That's what I'm going for. That's maybe my bold prediction. And what also interesting too, how long does the CAD stay here? How long does that high pressure stay? Some models are saying that CAD stays for like the whole next week and does not get pushed out of the way. If that happens, not only do you start increasing your snow chances with systems, but then you do have to worry about freezing rain potentially as well. But probably set out of the way and you get some rain, one or two, maybe a couple. We said that like maybe one or two cutters that move through, or rain events that often take away whatever snowpack you do have after over the next 7 days that we do get. What do I want to see? NAM 3K. I want to see the soundings if this does. Let's take a look. This is Friday, 7 p.m. Nothing in the Denver gross zone. Interesting. But is that just that one sounding? All right, there we go. That's a weird sounding. You don't usually see that back and forth like that squiggle. Maybe one. You get a couple of warm tongues here. One in the upper levels and another at in the mid to lower levels. It's interesting. I think it will be important in the clipper as it drops. If it's more potent than modeled, could be some serious surprises. That's something to watch. It's often hard though to see it on radar, guys, because I did a lot of that when I was younger, but it is harder when I was younger forecasting, I should say. It is hard on radar to kind of measure that. So I'm going to use the ping reports on radar scope to get a little bit better of a sense. And that's kind of the idea. Sorry, this winter ain't it. What do you know? What do you know, Mike? I don't know. You got a future prediction? You don't got a crystal ball. Telling you though, NAM. I think the NAM is onto the right idea with this. NAM is onto it. I'm telling you, this is gonna start. You could already see the radar echoes. Let's look at the radar right now. Oh, NWS radar is what I want. I'm right. You're wrong, Mike. You didn't see it. They're already popping. Yeah, those radar echoes are already popping. Almost none of this. There could be some light snow in some of these out here in central New England. But look at the ocean effect already starting. Is this going backwards? No, it's moving from the south. Surprise, it's not coming off the ocean. There's radar. You can already see we got radars. Meaning this area is just waiting. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I think the NAM is onto something here with this ocean, with the ocean enhancement. Telling you, 3, 4. I think it's onto something. Let's take a look. Yeah, the lower level lift. Not a ton in the dendritic growth zone, so it won't be a extremely great accumulating snow. But again, that moisture, since we're not plenty cold enough, and you have a big dry. You do have a big dry slot there at 700 is a problem, but it is below your dendritic growth zone. You need to be a little bit better saturated, but I think there's something to it. There could be some snow here. Some of these soundings. Not super well saturated yet is the only thing. So probably no major accumulations in the morning, but it's already setting the stage kind of. And the NAM 3K obviously goes a little berserk here with bringing that on shore. And this is what I'm talking. We can use this. This is what I'm talking about. These soundings right here. So 32 at the surface. Look where your minus 20 is. 20 starts at 650. Here at minus 10, That's almost, remember we were talking about it, it's just above 850. It's just above 850 millibars in the atmosphere. This is a very good snow sounding right here. You nearly have -1 you have a little bit below -1 omega here. That's your lift we look at in the atmosphere, and you want your limit over to the dendritic growth zone. DGZ, you can see labeled here. This is a good snow sounding. It may not look like heavy snow maybe when it comes out of the sky, but these are good snowfall rates here. These are good snowfall rates. These are 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch snowfall rates at least. So it's a moderate to kind of heavy snowfall rate, even though you might not be heavily snowing out of the sky. You might be 32 at the surface, but you're cold in your dendritic growth zone. Maybe you can pull another Jersey one even. Look at that. In the dendritic growth zone, you have some lift present here, not as much as the last sounding. Look where you are at -20. You're still pretty well saturated at this point. Your DGZ there at 650, and then again just above 850, even though you're 32 at the surface. So the surface temperature does matter some, but you are pretty cold, and you are going to have this temperature gradient too. A little bit of a temperature gradient we have there will help to enhance things, as well as some lift there in that area. So I'm curious to see, can somewhere in here can we see some 3, 4, 5s and 6s somewhere in this pocket here, especially maybe it extends out to northeast PA as this moves through on the backside. I think the HRR shows that coming through as well. We go to OZ. Look at that, the 6Z one's coming out next, so we'll know soon. So this snow that comes through here, this precip, whatever does happen, it will be a wetter. It will be a wetter precip, and it favors more interior, northeast, more Pennsylvania and Hudson Valley and Finger Lakes. It's a part of the main clip. It's kind of part of the initial clipper. And then as our storm comes through, notice how here as this moves through again, HR highlighting this area Friday night into Saturday morning, and it comes over NYC here. And look at that lift. That's real good. That's a heavy snow sounding right there. That's a heavy snow sounding. 650 below to 800 your dendritic growth zone. -1 to -1.5 omega in your dendritic growth zone. Typically -1 is what you look at for heavier snow. And I mean here as this moves through, again, these isobars invert some. So you get, again, that's kind of your little part 2 of the IVT special here, because all your upper level energy is still maxed out around here, even though your low pressure is out here. And so this whole area, I think the HR is really the precip back here at this time. And that's why I'm saying some of these models are taking precip out ahead of the storm, I think, and too far northeast. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just going off what I've seen before in the setup. And it will be a little bit of a double barrel. So some of you will lose. You will lose a good amount of it, but I don't as much as models are indicating. And so more gets pulled into the system here, and that's where maybe this band gets close. Again, you might start, especially on the Cape and Islands and southeastern Mass, you might start at some rain tomorrow. I think HR is really underdoing it here in the beginning, and the HR tends to miss out on the stuff. The HRR in long ranges is a little booty, to be honest. It's not that great to use, but I do get soundings. Here, and that's a heavy snow sounding right there. I know it doesn't look crazy. As -1, this is just northwest of New York City here. Look where you're at. Just below 650, down to 800 millibars with -1 omega, even though you're 32 at the surface. That's good accumulating snowfall and nighttime too. or the skies are dark, I think. Right? Yeah, 4 a.m. And then this moves over New York City, and that's heavy snow. That's a legit heavy snow sounding right there for New York City. And look at this. Below 100. This is New York City. This is in the city right here, or just east. I tried to get as close as I could over New York City. And look at that. You even get Cape to show up here on this sounding. You even get a little bit of convective available potential energy here. You see that with thunderstorms, and it's a little bit part of that gradient there. It's a relatively steep temperature gradient to go from 32 at the surface. All right, you go from 0 degrees Celsius here at the surface, from about minus 30 at around almost 600 millibars, around 550 millibars. So you have a steep, a 30-degree temperature gradient from 550 to 0, and you have a 20-degree temperature gradient from six just below 650 to 0 to the surface. And I know it sounds repetitive, but these are those guys. I'm telling you, these are the little details with these forecasts that 100% make a difference. So I'm pretty intrigued now. I think the IVT here, I'm gonna forecast. I think I wasn't as confident before, but these soundings are real supportive. Seeing the soundings firsthand and the lift present, and we were looking at the temperatures, talking about it last few days now, that there is going to be something to watch here with this. And now I'm like, I think this is gonna produce. I think the I part of this system is gonna produce, and it might be more expansive than people think, because there's still a good amount. Now that heaviest banding may be more confined to somewhere. But even if we take it, let's say this is not in the heavy snow anymore of the banding. Let's go to the moderate, kind of here in Jersey, moderate. Look at that. You still have, even though you're 34 at the surface, you still have some lift here present, and your dendrite growth still 650 to 800. That's easily a good moderate snow sounding right there. More like ½ inch to 3/4 inch per hour right there, potentially, maybe somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit less. Even though you're 34 at the surface, it's deceiving. It's deceiving. So this is why I pride myself in, guys. This is where I try to separate myself from other forecasters, not, but why I get so detail oriented and focused on things. And that's why I try. It doesn't make, I'm going to mess up because I don't have as much meteorology as a lot of other people have. But I have what I have, and I try to work with it. And so when I look at this stuff, I'm like, dang. I look at all these little things here, and it makes me think that New York City, Eastern PA, Central. I know they don't claim there's a Central Jersey, but Jersey, Lower Hudson Valley. I think there's an opportunity here. Maybe even Southwest Connecticut, if they can get into this. It will really depend on where those isobars invert, and that allows an opportunity even here into Southern Jersey. Here at the end, look at this. You get into the action. Here. Look how cold you are, man. This is a steep gradient. That's a steep temperature gradient to be going from. Where do you cross here? Just below 650 to below 800. I mean, that's like a solid heavy. That's a solid, moderate snow sounding, and that will accumulate. And here on the backside too, still some lift present, and now you're getting colder and colder. Now you're 28. You're still plenty well enough saturated, and these are the little things. This accumulates. Now you're 28 at the surface. You're even colder in your lower level. That accumulates, even though you have just enough lift. It's these little details. They make a difference. Make a difference. And that's the key. You're saturated above of your dendritic growth zone to the surface. So when I look at this stuff, I think this can produce potentially 1 to 3 inches, with some isolated areas getting a little bit more than that. I'm definitely more intrigued with this Sammy Sprinkler. I'm more intrigued with this aspect of the system than I was, now breaking down some of these soundings, and it's there on the NAM 3K. NAM, we can look at high-res models. Again, the high-res models are the only things we get. You can see it fills in the precip here. Look at it. Same thing right there, just north of Philly. Same thing we've been looking at. Minor to moderate lift in the column. Look at this, like the same thing we've been talking about as it comes through. This is what I'm talking about here. Yeah, even in inversion, look at that. There's a steep gradient here. I don't know if there's going to be enough lift. If there was enough lift, I would claim that there is a shot at their snow. I would seriously claim that, because look how your temperature gradient is so steep. There's a significant temperature gradient here. If there's enough lift, I'm gonna make a call. This is gonna sound a little crazy on the backside here. That there is a chance, I will say very small, there is a small chance for thunder snow. Small chance for thunder snow. Small, very, very, very tiny. If you're able to get enough lift. I don't know if there'll be enough lift at this point. Very teeny tiny chance. We'll keep an eye on that. I think when this comes through, there's going to be some moderate to heavy snowfall in this band that comes through. The question is where, and I'll pick somewhere. I'll pick somewhere in here. I'll pick somewhere, but I'm not quite confident yet where that quite sets up. I know that sounds crazy, given that it's not really a storm that looks at it, but the evidence doesn't lie on the soundings. The evidence doesn't lie there. Virginia? We're in Virginia. Virginia's a big state. The mountains are going to get some snow for sure. Northern Virginia, west of DC, tonight into tomorrow, we'll get some snow as well, potentially some light snow that moves through. Probably no significant accumulations there in Northern Virginia, but the mountains certainly do, especially West Virginia. This area here. I'm not explicitly forecasting it. I just wanted to throw it out there. So you could think of me, and I would look like a genius. And if it doesn't happen, I win anyways. Because I didn't say it was going to happen. But I want to throw it out there. I like to look at the NWS snow reports as a system moves through. If you get some early reports of high totals, it can be a heads up. Sometimes. I think the Clipper system, we can look at those snow totals out there and see if they were on track. I think it was like a general like 4 to 8 for the most part. Actually, we didn't end up even doing it. We're not going to do live analysis. Snowfall report map. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is some good. What was it? 10 inches was the max there in North Dakota. Looks like we had some good. Good 4 to 8 with some 8 to 10 inches. No. Sorry, not in this one. Southeast Virginia is not any snow in this one. You'll have to be patient. Be patient. Miss Fairy, I don't know. Sorry, Fairy Wind, maybe, I don't know. That's the best that's the best I could give you for your name pronunciation. But thank you for coming in. Hope to continue to see you in future streams. Again, we focus on the Eastern U.S. So I got a good amount of Virginia people that do follow me. And no, I got North Carolina. We did North Carolina earlier. We're expanding. When I just started, guys, I did just this area right here. I think I did just Massachusetts, maybe, and I did just this area, and then this area, and then I did like this area, and then I just kept expanding and expanding, and now I'm down here. Yeah, if you're I don't think I've seen you in here new, consider subscribing, hit that noti if you want to see more videos. You can go through. I got a lot of cool effect chases, applies to everybody too. Like cool lake effect chases that I've done before up there in upstate New York. I've got a bunch of, if you love radar loops too, I've posted, you can request some radar loops you would like to see as well. I posted, if we go to videos here, you'll see, you can see the radar loops that I have made. The thunder snow outbreak, the clip that made Cantori go crazy, that one. There's Katrina, there's their 2015, Blizzard of 2016, from Mount Hawley and the DC radar, Hurricane Milton's landfall. So I got some radar loops out there, winter storms, and can request those. I'm gonna do some more. And that was my most recent one I did a few weeks ago of that lake effect. And you can see sometimes I upload some videos here as well. But we do live stream all the time. So all these big storms here in the eastern U.S. we're live streaming. So hit that like button, baby. All right, let's take a look here. What do we have? Let's see. Let's got questions. Grew up in oh, look at that. We got interaction. I have not. So I have seen thunder snow. I've experienced it, but I've never seen it. I slept through it. I was not quite as into. I was more of like see the snow. I wasn't gonna affect my sleep for snow quite yet. I wasn't as about the weather a decade ago as I am now. So that 2015 winter, it might have happened in the blizzard of 2015. But this one right here, this one right here, I slept through this one because I didn't know too much enough at the time. And so this was a fun one. I remember I was like, oh, it's a good snowstorm. I think I was at like 6 inches of snow, and then look what happens here. The flow backs completely. All this comes down, and explosion, massive, 3 to 5 inch per hour snowfall rates, heavy snow, lots of thunder snow right through here. That this comes through, and bang, you get your own blizzard. There's like 12 to 20 inches of snow in southeastern Mass here, just from like that little explosion, and I missed it. I was asleep, and I woke up, and I was like, oh, we now have a foot of snow. Went from like, I saw like this little here get produced like 5 inches, 6 inches of snow or something. I think it finished with around a foot of snow. So that was incredible experience that I did not experience technically. So there was that. But so I guess that I've been near. I've been in it, but I have not seen it. I have not seen it. Still, I will though soon. Maybe this winter if I'm lucky. Let's see where we at. This is a storm right now at 5 on the low pressure map. You can see we have, this is our low pressure here, 1016, probably about 1015 millibars. And here is our main system back here, windy out here, the northwest edge here at that gradient of the high pressure. This whole is basically high pressure, and that gradient between here and the low pressure system, maybe some blizzard-like conditions off the ground, that light powdery snow out there in the Midwest, and then this is going to come through, swing through, interact with our low pressure system. This gets amplified out ahead of this system, and then eventually this catches up to what's going on, but not before we lose too much due to the setup we have at hand. And eventually these two meet and we create a nice little band along here. Well, you can see there is high pressure, 1030 high over us right now. In fact, Celtics Banner says, I've experienced it 3 times in Quincy. Again, I might have 2013 as well. I just did not care enough. I would kind of just measure the snow at that point and go out a little bit. 2015, and then 2022 blizzard, yeah. So I mean, it probably happened in 2015 multiple times for me. I just didn't see it. Probably happened 2013. But yeah, this is now the wrap forecast for that, and we really do want this to be weaker in a sense. We don't want this to take off too soon. The further south and west, the further west we can get this, the closer the system, the better. So that's the thing to watch. If you want to do some real-time analysis, guys, that's pretty simple. You can monitor where models have the low pressure. Again, not the L. The little L is not where the low pressure is. This whole area is low pressure. All these isobars here, these are where low pressure is. So this is your low pressure, and so it's takes the mean. So it's probably this is a 1015. You can tend to take off as a max. It's either 1015, 1016 here, about 1013 here. They just go in even line. They go in evens, as you can see. No odds. So it's about 1015, 1016 millibars, 1013, 1014 millibars right here. And if you want, you can look at this and try to see how close our low pressure. The closer our low pressures are, the better, because this is the main energy back here, and we want this to amplify as much as possible. I'm assuming most of you want more snow, which I do. Is there? Let's see. Cantor, you're not going to get the sound, but let's see. Cantor, thunder, snow, what was it? 96? Where's the Worcester one? I think the blizzard of 96, Cantorio was in Worcester. I think he was in Worcester and saw thunder snow. I don't know if they still have it here. Is this the Chicago one? On New York City, Long Island, blizzard 96 says Mike. Yeah, this was it. This is the December one. This is not the same. Oh, the Flash? They're right there. It's right in the beginning. Right there. Flash. Looks like a car almost coming by. Putting their headlights on. You see those fat flakes too? Yeah, it's all about, temperature gradient's a big part when we're forecasting thunder snow. I looked at that gradient is going to be pretty strong from the surface to to the upper levels. So I was like, man, I guess I'll throw it out there. I'll throw it out there. It looks a little lake effect, like, to be honest. It looks like some of those lake effect soundings that we've been. I love lake effect soundings. Oh, they're my favorite to look at, guys. They are the most. They are the most beautiful snow soundings you will ever see. So beautiful. Ugh. That dendritic grow low in the atmosphere too. Ugh. To die for. To die for. Wonder if that new SREF is out. You can go to Pivotal. So you already have some snow totals over here too. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. All right, let's go to the 06Z runs. I don't think we're there yet. Not quite. I just think the SREFs on Pivotal comes out earlier. Never fully come out. Or did the SREFs? Why did I 3? Or is it? Did I? Is it out? All right, I guess it's out on here. Look at that. Oh, that's the MBM. Is that new though? Yeah, look at that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't do it. Don't tease. It's not nice to tease. You don't understand. It is not nice to tease. Usually the 3Z, the 03Z runs. It's not nice to tease now. MBM SREF. It's not nice. It is not nice to do that. 21. Yeah, 3Z is not out on the other ones. The main one. The mean, sorry. It's AWR. It's 03Z again. It's just a different variation. You look at Pivotal. Does it have the mean for the SREFs? So these are just the NAM ensembles we're looking at here. So it's just a ensemble mean, basically, of the NAM ensembles. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's interesting. Is it really? Does it really mean anything for the forecast? I can't tell you. I can't really put too much weight on this because it's the NAM. This is the NAM ensembles. But hell, it's interesting. It's gonna go down. Listen, the NAM was like, I don't know if I want to go out so far on a limb. That's basically what it's 12 and 18Z today, and then OZ, and then here at the 3 refs, the NAM ensembles. Basically, it was like, you know what? F it. Let's go do it. Frick it. Screw it. Let's go freaking, make some shit happen here. Let's go. It's like, yeah, let's go do it. I'm going out on a high. That's what the NAM decided. That is what the NAM decided, I guess. And typically these are an indicator for the 06Z runs. So I'll be interested to see. Again, at this point, we're more time real, monitoring what's going on with the forecast. But sometimes they tell a story of models being behind. And I'm wondering if we're going to be doing that right now. This would be an epic model failure with convective feedback issues if this were the case. It'd be an epic failure. But it'd be one we talked about, and then the name King and Legendary. So again, my actual takeaway with this is that the NAM is highlighting our high-end scenario. That's it. What version does that look like? Where exactly does that band? Where exactly does that band set up? It's a little. How far? If models aren't predicting it at all, really, besides the NAM? Would it be here? And computers running very slow? Oh my God, come on. Would that band be here? Would it be back? Would it make it this far? Would it be just maybe Eastern Tip, Long Island, Cape and Islands? If it were to, it's hard to say, but generally, like south of Boston here. And then the band would the strongest of it you can see, but some of these would still get out here, so these totals get enhanced in here as well. But typically, if the extreme scenario does happen, it's gonna be confined to mostly here, like likely not. Even though it's trying to, it probably not. Maybe, but I don't see it. There was only one run that showed this possibly. For the most part, it's been here. I think there's too much convection that gets out ahead of this for this to really wrap and try to tuck for these areas. So I think that's very, very unlikely, extremely unlikely. This scenario is unlikely where the band kind of hits this area here, but I can't rule it out because it's not my main forecast. And I'd look like a fool if I just completely dismissed it and it happened. And so, some people will be like, it's the NAM, it will never happen, and move on to the next system and right. But eventually, one of those systems where you become dismissive of one of those scenarios that happens, and it happens, that's when you look like the fool. And it might be a big system. I don't want to look like a fool on the big system. And it's not about the look, it's about getting it right for y'all. And then after the backlash that comes through is you messed up the forecast. Not for me, but everybody gets it. It's never just one person that gets it typically, unless they had an outrageous forecast. Look at this, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm not gonna fully rule out that band get into southeastern New England. I'm not gonna rule out eastern tip of Long Island, southeastern New England. I'm not gonna rule out. You think Taunton, New Bedford is the jackpot for the storm? Maybe. I wouldn't favor that unless the band happens. Then maybe that's. And these are not am-ons, not the most accurate. Not the most accurate here. So we have an update. Let's do a little analysis. Let's use the GFS. Because the GFS is a model that struggles with convective feedback issues. Even here, look at that. It still gets that band over Cape Cod there tomorrow night. If the GFS has the band for Cape Cod, that's a radar for reference. If the GFS gets the band over Cape Cod, then I'm like, okay, there's something to look at here. This is the band that I'm talking about too on the IVT. This right here, the GFS is picking up on it, even as crappy as a model it is for these kind of short-term mesoscale solutions. Honest here, and let me look at. Where is he? We go 500. No, surface. P-type. We got the right thing. Radar is cleaner. And then let me go to, what was it, 1 a.m. Perfect. So GFS is doing fine with the pressures. 1014, 1016 here. Let's see, 1014, 1016. Again, the L is not where we look at when we're doing some of this, but it's harder to see with the scale. be to look at. Again, a low pressure that gets tucked a little bit further west means it's less farther away. So either the further south or the further west, the better. Because what this does is, this is going to sound weird, but the low pressure being farther north doesn't mean the precip out ahead gets further north. It's actually stretching out the system more. And when you stretch out the system, you're unable to consolidate as efficiently. And so this precip out here ends up going farther out this way. And when your low pressure comes further south or further west or both, it allows this precip here, it allows more of it to get out here. And so this is why, and this is warm air too. This is your cold, this is your warm here. And so that's why some of these areas might start as rain late, early this morning. Let's take another look at radar here. Some echo showing up right over Mesa right now. I'll go take a look after this, see if there's anything happening. I'll see if there's anything happening. You think that the high over Quebec is way off by 3 to 4 millibars, weaker high to the north, you say? What, 1032, 7, 1033. No, it's got it close. A few, maybe 2 or 3 millibars, just a little bit. But it's also, this is the U.S., so it may not be fully encapsulated. Maybe this is 1031. It's maybe a couple millibars off. See where those isobars press though. Yeah, there's a little less expansive. See that 1028 line. That 1028 line is south though, so it's not really too inaccurate with that. In fact, it's almost the core of the HP might be a couple millibars off, but I don't know. I have to really attack this after when I make my snow map for you guys. I'll really attack this. See what's going on with the details. Get some of those 060 runs out. I do put a little bit of weight, but a lot of it goes into the real-time analysis and what's going on at this point too, and see if it's actually snowing right now. I believe we're cold enough. See if any of that's hitting the ground. Ensembles are relatively useless, but we can look at the panels. We can look at the panels because why not? They're fun to look at. Fun to look at, not to eat. Well, I'm demonstrating that idea there, that area in eastern central to eastern Mass. Picking that idea. These are only half the numbers too. That's Christmas. We don't want to go that far. You can see here, but these are only so useful. These are only so useful at this point. So not too concerned about the ensembles, but they're fun to look at. They're fun to look at. But they are a global ensemble that we are looking at. All right, so I will, if you haven't already, one last thing here. Actually, before I do that, Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. General idea. I actually don't mind this. It's actually not a terrible idea. This general idea here of maybe 1 to 3, a pretty good area. Maybe a little bit less than an inch to 3 inch. Fun to look at, not to eat. So a general area there with maybe like a general like 1/2 inch to 2 inches in this area here, with potentially, there'll be Pennsylvania will be more of a 1 to 3, and then some of these areas potentially a little bit more, potentially getting some 2, 3s and 4s, maybe a couple 5s and 6s in some of those interior elevated areas across Pennsylvania and Jersey. And then another area to watch is right here. Just kind of best highlights the area I'm looking at. And I would favor this pocket right here. Could extend a little bit further south, maybe. And that area is a general like 2 to 5. I'll probably make that general area is like a 1, and then within that, I think there'll be a swath, maybe a couple of pockets littered of 3 to 6s in this area, and then the chance of the band getting onshore here, eastern Long Island to this area here, kind of, and this general idea. Keep an eye on, especially Cape Cod here. Keep an eye to see how close that band actually makes it, and then you're potentially looking at a surprise. It's really boom or bust on Cape Cod and the islands and farther southeastern Mass. Some people might, you'll finish this. Everybody will finish the snow, but some people may only get like less than a 1/2 inch in a lot of these places, like a coating to an inch, and then you could boom by seeing a lot more than that. Like some of those NAM totals are not inaccurate if that band does hit. So we may be this time tomorrow night being like, this band is not even close. It is out here. It is nothing to worry about, and we may be doing that. But if it does, keep an eye on that area. If you don't already, you're live as we're live here on X and YouTube. If you haven't already, hit that like button. But also here again, whatever your preferred viewing format is, remember, after I post the lives, I do go in and I edit myself the chapters, all the chapters to all these live streams here. So if you're on X, consider subscribing to YouTube as well. If you're enjoying the X platform and you can just want to stay there, that's fine. If you're on YouTube, keep coming in, baby. We're gonna keep forecasting. We'll try to go live tomorrow night as well, or during the day at some point. Live track this thing, and I'll put out a snow map right after for those late night gang or late night gang. Make the snow map so you can interact with me there. And until then, let's keep doing this.